Hello everybody and welcome back to Harvest Moon Save the Homeland. The final episode in our playthrough is going to be about cooking. Now I have put this episode off for a very long time, but I did say I was going to do it, so today I'm just here to do a little bit of cooking, just demonstrate what it's like, and just talk about it and let you guys in on what I know about it. The first thing to remember, of course, is that you won't be able to cook from the start of the game. In order to be able to cook, you have to have a kitchen, which requires the house extension, which you need to buy from the carpenters. And once you've extended your house, the kitchen will be automatically built on. And unlike some of the newer Harvest Moon games, you're not required to buy the cooking utensils when the kitchen is built. You automatically are given the whole kitchen along with an oven, a pot, a pan, and a refrigerator. So you kind of have everything that you need to get started right with the first house expansion without having to spend a lot of additional money. So in the refrigerator, what you can do is you can store any kind of food that you want to store. This is to stockpile it and to keep it out of your inventory, to keep your inventory nice and neat. The fridge is only able to keep food items inside of it. If I try to put an ore or flowers or anything like that in it, it will say that I'm only able to stockpile food. So this is kind of a good way to separate your inventory if you're an inventory management freak like I am. And it's also a good way to just keep an eye on what you have. As you can see here, I've stockpiled a bunch of items over my last couple of playthroughs of this game, and I've taken out all of the items for the purposes of cooking. Now, you can store things in the refrigerator, but when you want to cook, keep in mind that the game will only allow you to pick ingredients that you have in your rucksack. So when you want to cook, make sure that you bring all the ingredients that you might need and put them into your rucksack. With all that being said, in terms of recipes, I have not found a way in this game to obtain recipes. In some games, you're able to watch TV or read books or speak to villagers, doing activities to actively get a bunch of recipes. In some games, there's a recipe book, but there isn't anything like that in this game that I could find. There might be it and I might have missed it, but I haven't been able to find it. So your two options for finding out your recipes would be to cook and just figure it out on your own, do a little bit of experimenting, or the more logical solution would be to just look up a guide online. Now there aren't that many recipes, so you have options but not too many options. So if you look up all the recipes, it'll give you a good idea of what kind of things you want to save depending on what villagers you want to befriend. The primary reason to cook is to befriend villagers, really. There's a lot of cooked food that villagers will really enjoy more than the average gift. You can give them foraged goods and flowers and all the free stuff that you want, but cooking is really worth it because it will allow you to befriend villagers a lot faster, and that will allow you to get event paths done quicker, and it just kind of feels nice to give them something homemade, in my opinion. And the other thing that you might want to cook for is to regain your own energy. If you're low on energy, you can eat something and you'll perk yourself back up and you can get back to work if you're running into an issue where you're not having enough energy or enough stamina in the game for whatever reason. So I guess what I'll do is we'll just start cooking, and I'll go over each utensil individually and just kind of speak a little bit about it. So starting with the oven, this is used primarily to bake cakes. You can bake a few different varieties of cake. You can bake a flan, which is a sweet. It all kind of falls into the same category. And then the odd one out is a fish recipe. Now, despite all the food that I have, I don't actually have any fish. So the only dishes I'm not really able to make at the moment are the fish dishes. So we can start out with something simple. You're able to put up to 3 ingredients in here, and we're just going to start with a basic cake, which requires an egg, any sized milk, and we need some breadfruit. So you want to pick your items out of the inventory, press X to select it, it'll go into the oven, and then when you're finished, you press start, and it will cook, and then out will come whatever it is that you've made. In this case, we've made a cake, and it's important to remember that baked goods and cooked goods cannot be sold, so once you've made something, you're sort of stuck with it. Again, it's up to you whether you want to keep it and save it for later, or whether you want to eat it or give it away. And any cooked food that you've made can also go into your fridge, which is nice. So you can just keep it in here and you can do whatever it is that you want with it. Other types of cake that you can make in here are cheesecakes, for example, but a lot of the food kind of falls into one category, so all cakes would just fall into the category of sweets. There are certain villagers that like sweets, no matter what it is. So, in my opinion, it's a lot better just to make a simple dish. So just making a simple cake or making a flan as opposed to making a super fancy special cheesecake, which requires something like special cheese, which is a hard ingredient to find. Now, there are going to be certain villagers that will like those special, more rare foods than most, but I find that with the cooking, you're going to get enough out of it that you don't really need to go the extra mile, if you know what I mean. So the pot is kind of the most universal and diverse of tools. You can make a variety of things in here. You can make soups, you can make jams, and you can also boil things, so you can make boiled eggs or you can make hot milk. So my favorite thing to do with this is to make jams, and jams are again one of those things that falls into the category of sweets. So generally speaking, the characters who like cakes will also like jams because they fall under the same category, and it would be the same as villagers who don't like sweets. If they don't like jams, they won't like cakes. So we're going to start out with making a blueberry jam, which requires 3 blueberries. You can also make cranberry jam, which requires 3 cranberries. And something like this would be great for someone like Gwen, who really likes very berries. You can also make a very berry jam. A blueberry jam would be great for someone like Dia because she loves blueberries as it is. Other villagers who really like jams are Lila and Katie. A lot of the girls really like the sweets. I can make a soup just as another example of something to make, so I'm not just making one thing. We'll make a soup with milk and a potato. I haven't actually tried to give soup to anybody, so I'm not too sure how the villagers would react. It would be kind of interesting to see, because soup isn't something that I really see a lot of the villagers feeling one way or the other over. I don't really know what kind of food it classifies as either, so that'll be kind of an interesting test for me to do later. And the pan's specialty is egg dishes, so it's going to be able to do a lot of different kinds of omelets. You can do a basic omelet, you can do a fruit omelet, you can do a cheese omelet, a mixed omelet, any kind of omelet you can possibly imagine you can do in the pan. You can also make pancakes and sandwiches. So we can make a fruit omelet if we use an egg and a very berry. So it's only 2 ingredients, it's very simple, but something like this is going to be great for somebody like Lewis or somebody like Tim, 2 villagers that really like eggs, and that already is going to allow you to befriend them that much faster than if you were to just give them a run-of-the-mill egg. And in some cases, there are different types of the same food. For example, there are different types of jams depending on what ingredients you're using, and there are also different types of sandwiches. So it's really fun to experiment and just see what you can come up with. For example, I can make a sandwich using a piece of bread and a tomato, and I would be able to make a different sandwich if I were to use different ingredients. Food can also be purchased at the supermarket, so there are a couple of ingredients that you can buy from Ronald. You can buy sandwiches there, you can buy rice balls, you can buy bread, and you can buy honey. And most of those can be used in cooking or just given to villagers on their own. So you have a lot of options. There are certain foods you can buy to give to villagers. You can make a lot of really great food for pretty cheap. It's just depending on how much of your resources you're willing to put away. If you're someone who's really far into the game or someone who has a lot of money, then I think it's definitely worth it to spend the time cooking. It's a lot more simplified in this version than it is in other games, and I don't do a lot of cooking in Harvest Moon. I never cook. This is my first cooking tutorial I've ever done because I don't like how overcomplicated cooking has to be in some cases. Like, this isn't a game where you have to use certain quality ingredients or anything like that. So it's just a really nice, simplified, easy method. There aren't a lot of recipes. And like I said, foods all fall into kind of one food grouping, and so you're gonna know which villagers like sweets, you're gonna know which ones don't like sweets, and you're gonna know which ones like eggs, don't like eggs, etc. What I've been doing is I've been doing a lot of cooking, and I've been going around and giving the same dish to every single villager and keeping track of what they like and what they don't like, and you can find all of that information on the Harvest Moon Wikia. I put a lot of time into putting all of my research that I've gathered from my Harvest Moon playthroughs and putting it over there. So if you are looking for a recipe list, or you're looking for a specific list of what each villager likes because you're not too sure, then you can find all of that stuff over there. And I don't think I have much else to say about cooking. I think that's really it. The only other thing that I can think of is that a lot of food has the same sprite. So as you can see, a regular cake would have the same sprite or same image, whatever you want to call it, as a fruit cake. And it's the same with egg dishes. A fruit omelet would have the same picture as a plain omelet. So if you are going to go on a mass cooking spree and just make a bunch of food and then throw it into your fridge, it's probably wise to press the select button over whatever it is that you're trying to grab and reading a description of it first, just in case you're looking for a specific food and you end up grabbing the wrong one. There is a lot of space in the freezer, fridge, whatever you want to call it, for all different types of food, whether it's food that you've cooked or whether it's ingredients. So go nuts if you want. If you have the house really early on and you're looking to do a bunch of event paths, then by all means, cook, store it in your fridge. Any food that you cook will carry over to subsequent playthroughs, so it'll always be there. And that will allow you to kind of plan ahead. So it's a really, really nice system. I like it. It works well for this game. And that's about all I really have to say about that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the whole Harvest Moon Save the Homeland playthrough. There will be more videos to come, but those will only be endings. This is the end of the commentary episode based type videos, so I hope you've enjoyed, and until I bring you guys another Harvest Moon project, I just want to thank you all again, and I will be seeing you next time.